All right, Andrew, you showed up late.
I know. I assumed it was the 2 p.m. starting time. Um, so Leonard Peikoff, I'm listening to his Understanding Objectivism course,
Yep.
and he talks about objectivist struggles with rationalism and his own struggles with rationalism.
Yep.
And what do you think? Do you think that that is a function like that a lot of objectivists suffer from that because it's just a widespread you know, state that exists in the human population and objectivists are human and therefore a lot of them are rationalists? Or do you think there's something about the philosophy that kind of attracts or creates that rationalism?
Oh, I've talked about this many times. I think it's the second. I think it's true of any young people who are engaged in philosophy, core philosophy, and including objectivism. That is, when you are young, you know very little about the world. You have very little empirical evidence, empirical experience, data about the actual world out there. And what happens is you read something like Ayn Rand, in particular Ayn Rand, and suddenly, in a sense, the truth, capital T, you have downloaded the truth and you just have it. It's accessible to you, right? Atlas Shrugged, the truth is just there. And yet you haven't gone through the process of validating it because it's a novel. Partially you've embraced it as truth, partially because emotionally you experience as such. And so you haven't validated it, and yet it's there. And then it's going to take you a while to validate it. But you don't know that because you're young and you don't understand how philosophy works and how philosophy works vis-a-vis your subconscious and your life. And in the meantime, you're trying to deal with it. And the only thing you can handle, because you don't have enough of the concretes, is at the abstract level. You deal with it at that level. So I don't know almost any young objectivist who's not rationalistic. Almost all young objectivists are rationalistic to some extent, and I think to some extent it's inevitable, just because to concretize everything, to make it your own, to integrate it properly into you takes time. And during that time, you're not going to say, okay, I'm in training right now. This is why Ayn Rand encouraged people to call themselves students of objectivism, not objectivists, because most people don't say, okay, I'm a student right now. I'm not sure exactly. I'm working on my objectivism. No, you just read Atlas Shrugged and it's true. And you're convinced of it. And yet you're not going to convince the world. And you don't have the tools to do it. You don't have the ability to do it. But you don't know that because you don't have any objectivity about yourself. It's very hard to gain that objectivity about yourself. So I think it's a way to handle this amazing philosophy you have just received as you work to integrate it and to make it real and to confirm it and to validate it in your own mind, which takes time.
Yeah.
Rationalism is the way you cope.
I mean, Leonard Peikoff is just so like he emphasizes it so heavily that even if you don't think you're rationalistic, you
Yep.
got to check your premises if somebody like that who suffered from it in himself is insistent that just like, you got to bring yourself down to reality. You have to connect with reality
Almost
directly.
everybody's rationalistic. I mean, the alternative is to be empiricist, but there are many more rationalists and objectivists than empiricists. Um, and it's so different than anything else out there, than everything we've taught and everything else that is in the culture. It's very difficult suddenly to hold on to something that's so new, so different, so radical. Um, so,
Yep. Thanks.
yep. All right.